Hello, I'm Robert McKay. You saw the title card, so I won't tell you that this is a thoroughly amateur production. You probably have already noticed, so I won't mention that I am a thorough amateur. Having not mentioned those two things, I want to, in this video, answer a question which is not necessarily a prominent question among beginners in whiskey, which is why this is the 28th of my list of questions. But it's this: what is hot whiskey? Well, I knew exactly where I was going, and the words just flew right out of my mind. That happens sometimes, and before you tell me its age, I've been this way for 50 years or more. But one of the things alcohol does when you drink whiskey is provide a sensation of heat in your mouth, on your tongue. And sometimes it'll be downright hot or seem so. The explanation, I believe it was Randy Sullivan of Bourbon Real Talk, a channel on YouTube. And I highly recommend it. There are a few channels where the minute a video pops up, I click the like button even before it plays. I believe it was Randy Sullivan who explained this, the scientific mechanism of it, by saying that alcohol is a poison. I'm not sure I would endorse that statement. Anything can be poisonous if you get too much of it. Too much oxygen can have deleterious effects, even though you have to have oxygen or die. Too much water can poison you, yet without water you die. So I'm not sure I would consider alcohol a poison, but the explanation was that alcohol is a poison and your body notifies you of this fact by giving you a sensation of heat when the alcohol is in your mouth. And so you get whiskey that's hot. Now, this seems to be a countrified description rather than something you might get from Fred Minnick. And you might go watch Fred Minnick's videos. I'm not subscribed to his channel anymore. He turned out, or the channel, I should say, turned out not to be what I need and prefer. But the man is a world expert on bourbon. But he probably would not describe a whiskey as hot. And now somebody in the backwoods taking a jar right off the still might say that's hot. But it's that sensation in your mouth of heat. And generally speaking, this is going to indicate a high proof. The more alcohol in the whiskey, the hotter it's generally going to be. However, that is not always strictly the case. I don't know why this is. There are people who could explain it, but that's not my purpose and it's not within my competence. But there are fairly low proof whiskeys, say 90 proof whiskeys, that are hotter on the tongue than whiskeys that are 100, 110, 120 proof. I've had 100 proof whiskey that burned me more than 120 proof whiskey. So there are other factors in there that cause it to be hot. However, generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, the higher the proof, the hotter the whiskey. And this is something that you just have to get used to. Or if you don't get used to it, if you're not able to get used to it, then there's nothing wrong with drinking 90 proof whiskey or 80 proof whiskey. As a general rule, Again, there are exceptions. The higher the proof, the more intense and clear and definite the flavors, but not always. I've had some high proof whiskey that just wasn't all that great. My favorite whiskey in the whole world is 92 proof. So the heat and the taste generally tie to proof. Higher is better, higher is hotter, lower is less good, lower is less hot. That's a rule of thumb, though. It is not universal. You will find exceptions. So, that's hot whiskey, is just your basic explanation of it. Whiskey for beginners, not for experts. I'm not an expert, and the experts don't need some of the stuff that I put on the channel. That's hot whiskey. It's time to end the video, and so I will give you a Gaelic word, one of the few Gaelic words I mean. I don't have a glass in my hand. Let me flip also over to where I need to be to hit the button when the time comes in a few seconds to hit the button and end the video. I don't have a glass in my hand, but one of the few Gaelic words I know, sláinte.